their job, the police officer needs to go to jail. I believe everybody has the right, because my father fought in World War II. I was a late in life baby for my parents. I believe every person who doesn't think that the Holocaust didn't happen deserves to be re-educated. Stop this hatefulness by a big orange orangutan bully, and do the right thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry I vented this morning, but it's been eating at me all weekend.
Yes, ma'am. No. We're gonna do a venting session, so, and I think that's important. So please, yeah, that's fine.
Well,
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry I didn't mean to vent this morning. I have to get it out before I get to work.
Support Johanna Hayes in Connecticut too. Okay.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, she's not in my district.
Right.
My district is a different congressperson, but honestly, I believe everybody needs to get woken up. It's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you go because I know you have other important calls.
Well, no.
Nice
I just, I'm giving people an opportunity to vent. And I think everything you said is important. Vote. Get ready for the Women's March in January.
I can do it in my town. I can do it in my capital, but unfortunately, I can't go to Washington.
Well, that's okay. And people, we want people to go. To stay where they are if necessary. Although I was saying to a friend of mine suggested that everybody just go to Maine. I think people who couldn't even make it
to Maine, go to New Hampshire next time Jeff Flake goes up there, because I don't really want to use the P word, but he must be happy to be grabbed by the P, because he sure ain't got no B's.
Oh Lord. What do you think about Susan Collins?
Oh, I have always thought she was an atrocious turncoat. She just likes to get them. You know what? Stop putting the microphone in the Republicans' faces. What do you think about that? Because certainly Joe Manchin didn't get shamed. Certainly Joe Flake didn't get shamed.
All righty.
This is tough. This is tough. The anger. I can't express my anger and my hurt. It's actually hurt. Do these men have daughters? If they don't have daughters, do they have daughters-in-law? Do they have granddaughters? Who do they have besides their wives that should be back in the 1776 cooking and caring for their slaves?
Yeah.
Because that's what they act like. They act like they've never seen a woman in their entire life that's been hurt. And I'm going to tell you something. We've been hurt. Everybody in this, if you're alive, you've been hurt. Unless you have $413 million daddy left you, you've been hurt. I'm sorry, the rest of us don't live in a bubble. Have you ever been passed over for a job because you can't take the time off of work because you're caring for an elderly parent? Because I have. Don't you think it hurts to see men get promoted over you left and right because you made a choice in your life not to put your parent in a nursing home and try to care for them yourself and work full time?
Real
and
talk.
thank God has a husband who's supportive enough for you to let you do this.
Real talk, Kelly. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to let you go. You get other callers on the line more important than me.
No,
You
not
have
at all. I think we need to hear from you. We need to hear from all the women today. So, folks, we're just letting folks share and vent and talk about this. It's
It's a disgusting mess is what it is. Can we say it that way? It's a disgusting mess.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the nicest way to say it. Yeah. All right. God bless you, Kelly. Keep your head up.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Sam Smith is with us. Songsmith, Wordsmith. He's got the G and the O and the EGOT, the Grammy and the Oscar. Here he is.
Everybody, it's Sam Smith.
Who I found is Sam Smith. Hello.
Sam Smith, everybody. Sam Smith's album's called In the Lonely Hour. #1 on iTunes.
He is on everybody's one-to-watch list for 2014.
Give it up for Sam Smith.
Sam Smith coming up right after this.
ProRev.com, the news while there's still time to do something about it since 1964. He is a Mainer. Sam, good morning.
Good morning. I wasn't born here, so I'm not a Mainer. I'm still from away, even.
But you live there now.
That's the way
How
it
many
works.
How many years have you lived in Maine now?
Oh, I've lived full time. I've lived here about 10 years.
We I think it's important that we spend this hour today kind of letting people vent, and I think it's important you're here because you live there.
Yeah.
Were you surprised Friday when Susan Collins did what she did? Were you surprised at
Yeah,
all?
I was sort of surprised. I mean, I have the only rationale I can come up with is that she doesn't plan to run again.
Mm-hmm.
She promised almost only to run 2 terms. And I just wonder whether she doesn't have a job somewhere.
Mm.
That would be my bet, because there haven't been any recent polls, but if you go way back to August, you'll find that 47% of Mainers said they'd be less likely to vote for her, and 31% more likely. That's a huge margin. And then what's more is that in that same poll, and then we're talking August before all the excitement began, what's more, by 22 percentage points, Maine voters don't believe Collins should vote to confirm Kavanaugh until his full record is made public. And that includes 57% of Mainers over 65, 53% of independents. So one thing I'm sorry to see is Susan Collins giving Maine such a bad name for women.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, we have a Democratic woman who stands a good chance to be elected governor. We have a woman who's Speaker of the House. One of our 2 senators is a woman. One of our 2 representatives is a woman. And the police chief in my town is a woman who also plays soprano sax. And how many police chiefs can you discuss Sidney Bechet with?
Yeah. The Democratic group, that's in somebody else. It's Indigenous Peoples Day. I want people to support Paulette Jordan in Idaho. Could be the first Native American governor. And people should support the Democrat running for governor in Maine, whose name is
Janet Mills.
What is her name again?
Janet Mills.
Janet Mills?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like Janet because that's my mother's name.
No, all right.
Janet Mills for governor, janetmills.com, jordanforgovernor.com, janetmills.com. Let's do that today. Indigenous Peoples Day for Paulette Jordan, Janet Mills as a counter to Susan Collins. At least we'll have a strong Democratic woman governor in Maine. Sam lives in Maine. Sam, I want to try to just give some of these people an opportunity to vent.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Mario's in Florida. Mario, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote.
Hey, good morning,
Get ready for
Mark.
impeachment.
Hey,
Go right ahead.
I got a Kavanaugh comment, but I wanted to comment on something that you said earlier about a white woman accusing a black man of rape is the only way that she can be people believer.
Right.
And I immediately thought about Herman Cain, because that's exactly what happened to him. He was doing well in the polls until those women came out, and they happened to be all white women.
Well, okay. But, I mean, Herman was going to lose anyway.
Right. So no, on the Kavanaugh thing, the comment I had to make was I've turned the Kavanaugh name into a bad thing. I'm a teacher, and I got some kids sometimes that I see that are handsy and behaving inappropriately with girls. So I've made it a thing to tell them not to Kavanaugh those girls or whatever. Keep your hands off them. Basically, what it means is don't touch them inappropriately. And
people are turning it into a verb.
Yeah, basically a negative one at that. And I've got some movement on it because a lot of the conservative teachers they're upset about me making that term. So I mean that's what I've done with it.
Well, good.
That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mario.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. And we want to hear from the women today, folks. We're just kind of doing a post-mortem on this movement. What do you think about it? What mistakes were made? What mistakes weren't made? What do you think was right? What do you think was wrong in this whole campaign to defeat Kavanaugh? Lee's in Florida. Lee, God bless you. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. And you're on the line with Sam Smith of ProRev.com from Maine.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Fine. How you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Hey, first of all, I'd just like to know if you believe like I believe. I believe Jeff Flake and Susan Collins played the Democrats like a fiddle. I mean, I think he used his relationship with Senator Coons and came up with this FBI investigation that they never intended to be what they called thorough. And Chris Coons is a nice guy, but I think he's too nice. And this is the problem with Democrats. He's still out there talking about we need to work to heal and blah, blah, blah with relationship with the Republicans. Republicans don't want to heal a relationship. They want to cut our blue throats. And they want to rule. They don't want to govern. So I think the Democrats learn that, I'm sorry, this is a knife fight and you're standing there with a spoon, you're in deep trouble. Secondly, I think we need to get out and donate to Heidi Heitkamp also to reward her for her courage.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have voted yes, and it probably could have helped her in the polls in her state, but she voted no. She's going to lose her seat, but she did the right thing, and she voted no. And lastly, Mark.
Well, I hope she doesn't lose. I hope the women come on out and support her now.
Well, I hope they do. I really hope they do, but she's in a tough state, and we all know.
She didn't have anything else to lose. If she was going to lose, you go down fighting anyway, Well,
exactly. You go down doing the right thing. But lastly, President Cheeto said the other day that all the women who were protesters were paid protesters by George Soros because of their fancy signs. Well, two things. Has he looked at one of his Klan rallies lately? I haven't seen a handmade sign at any of his rallies yet. So that means he's paying all those people who are attending? And then secondly, I think those guys that troll you on the radio, I wouldn't be surprised if GOP has some paid radio listeners, Mark, because I don't see why these guys listen to you when they disagree with you so much. And they seem to sit on your show and wait for an opportunity to come in and spout their BS.
Yeah, I agree.
So take care. That's all I got.
Thank you, man. Enjoy your day. Take care now. 866-99-SERIOUS. Kenny's in Nevada. Kenny, happy Indigenous Peoples Day. God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. You're on there with Sam Smith of ProRev.com from Maine. Kenny, your reaction.
How you doing, Mark? I'm probably not as depressed as a lot of people are, because I think this is actually a good play for the Democrats. And let me tell you why. One of the things we have to do now, it's going to take some time. We have to win the presidency in 2020. Which means we've got to work our asses off to make sure that happens. But once that happens, a Democrat will name an attorney general who can then name a special prosecutor to look into whether Kavanaugh lied during his confirmation hearing. And we all know he lied. He could be prosecuted for that. And I believe if he's prosecuted, he cannot be on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that would give the Democrats an opportunity to replace him. I'm just saying, I don't think that we should stand around and all say, we're going to just let this thing go. We're going to let him lie to Congress and get away with that. No one's going to do anything. I don't believe that. Now, granted, we got to be careful because Donald Trump can pardon him, meaning we wouldn't be to do anything for him. But if that doesn't happen, why shouldn't we proceed on prosecuting him for all the lies that he told during the confirmation hearing? And we know he lied about the Leahy letter. We know he lied about all those yearbook entries and on and on and on. Why shouldn't he do something about that?
I think it's a good point. Let me ask Sam a question since you raised that. Sam, what's your reaction to Kavanaugh invoking the Clintons in his retort to Dr. Blasey Ford, saying it was revenge on behalf of the Clintons?
Well, it would be a good reason not to vote for him to be a Supreme Court justice. Judges don't engage in that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's just not that. I think that leaving aside the sexual assault issue, there are plenty of reasons why a sane person would have voted against Kavanaugh, and his political approach to his own appointment would be a very important one.
Do you Sam? Do you also find it troubling his zeal for prosecuting a president during the Clinton administration and him kind of walking that back now when Republicans are in office?
Well, what I feel very scary, and Trump is the worst example, but I think we have to realize that lying and dishonesty is now a major part of politics, national politics. And it's something which is very frightening. I blame a lot of it on television and the effect it's had on us, just with things like advertising. But the fact is that politicians get away with saying things which just aren't true in a way that they didn't used to. And the media has to deal with this at some point. It's just extraordinary to have a president, for example, who has lied as often as Trump has, and yet he still gets away with it. It's as though it doesn't really matter that people are lying.
Yeah.
Well, it's a crime to lie to the Senate when you're under oath.
Right.
So again, I'm saying.
Who's going to? Yeah.
So why shouldn't the Democrats move to prosecute Kavanaugh for that? Go ahead.
Then the problem is you've got to find somebody with the nerve to do something about it, and it certainly isn't going to be the Republicans in the Senate.
So I'm saying we got to wait till we win the executive branch of government, and we have to win.
Well, and then we need the executive branch and the Senate.
Yeah, and I think by the time that happens, we're going to have much more serious problems to deal with.
Well, it's agreed that you would never get 57 votes in the Senate to remove Kavanaugh. But if he's in jail, then he can't be on the Supreme Court.
I don't know. Can you prosecute a sitting justice?
Yeah, why can't you? They don't have immunity. There's nothing in the Constitution about immunity for Supreme Court.
But the problem with that is, I don't mean to be cynical. I think you make a good point. I think we have to exhaust all alternatives. But I think what would happen is that the Supreme Court itself would get involved and prevent one of their own from being prosecuted.
Are they going to say he didn't lie during his confirmation process? I mean, the lying is obvious. So, I mean, they would have to say that he didn't lie.
But see, now the standard has been set for an evidentiary finding. You have an investigatory body that won't support that evidence. See, you want to be honest about it. You know, in terms of what the FBI was looking for, they could have looked for the sexual assault, but they also could have talked about his role in stealing the emails from, I know people get confused when we say emails, but we're talking about those emails that were stolen from the Democratic Senate staff when Kavanaugh was promoting Bush judicial appointees. And let me just insert this, folks. George W. Bush, was vigorously making phone calls and campaigning for Kavanaugh to be on the court. throughout this whole ordeal. So y'all know people think that Trump is so much worse than W, but W is still the devil himself because that's what he was doing.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all move on here. You guys take care.
All right, thank you, man. Good points you raised, though. 866-99 series, ladies first. Women, when ladies, when you call in, we'll move you up in the queue on the phone calls. First time callers, sexual assault survivors, all that. You all get first. Sam Smith is in Maine County. You're on with him. God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. And happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Good morning. I just want to say, once we take the House, we need to investigate this FBI investigation, first off. And then I think we'd have to have a Democratic president probably. But when we get that Democratic president, we need to put 2 more Supreme Court people on. And I think that can be done, right?
Well, the 2 people would probably be liberals because the conservatives are baked in because of their age. Those conservatives aren't moving. The oldest conservative now is who, Sam? Clarence Thomas?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
But can't we increase the amount to 11 people instead of 9?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, you mean expand the court.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we can do that. That can happen. That can be just a simple piece of legislation.
That's why I'm going to be calling my senators every single day when that happens. When we get a Democratic president, I'll be calling them every day that should be on their top priority to get that done.
Sam has witnessed changes in the court since, the 1800s when he was alive. Sam, the size has changed over the centuries, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Don't ask me for the numbers.
I think it's been 11 and 12 at different times.
That's Brittany's job.
866-99 serious. Let's see who we got next here. Travis is in West Virginia. Oh my God. Joe Manchin. So Travis, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. You're on there with Sam at ProRev.com. Sam's in Maine. Travis, so now, isn't it true that if Collins had voted no, Manchin would have voted no?
Oh, I'm actually from Virginia.
Oh, it's at West Virginia. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm in Fairfax, Virginia. Yeah, but happy Viking Day and happy Indigenous Peoples Day. No, I think we should use this as a lightning rod, and we should try to get as many of us bastards into the legislative branch, and we should just muzzle the Supreme Court. We should lock the conservatives out of power. I mean, they fight dirty and we fight clean. That's BS. We got to sterilize these sons of bitches. And we got to do the same thing they do. We got to do gerrymandering, lock them out, and have no conservative power for 200 years, and just cut them completely from the kneecaps and say, you guys cannot be in power anymore. I mean, we're trying to play nice, and they're throwing sand in our eyes. No, they bring a pistol, we bring a spoon, like that one caller said. We got to bring a goddamn Abrams tank and make sure we crush these sons of bitches, because they might not care that Roe may be overturned, but they'll care if their daughter gets raped and they're forced to have a rapist child. They might care if they say, hey, you might die if you have this baby, and they have to die now. I mean, the reason why women live more often while giving birth is when we have, a bad pregnancy, unfortunately, they can have an abortion to survive. So we need to use this as a lightning rod and make sure these conservative sons of bitches are locked out of power forever. Because everything they have done the last 30 years has been conservatives' fault. They have been gerrymandering. They have been cheating, breaking the rules and putting themselves in power, and they're taking away our money. They're taking our right to choose. I'm a guy, so I don't have a right to choose, but you get the point. They take away our union rights. They take away everything that we fought for since World War II, and they've been taking it away. They want to bring us back, pre-World War I. That brought up, brought up the Great Depression and brought all that crap. So no more nice guys, nice gals. We gotta fight dirty. I mean, and stuff in the courts, we got to stuff those damn courts. If that takes what it takes to nullify them and stuff the courts, if we can't do that, we'll muzzle them. I don't care what we have to do.
You sound like 20 minutes before the hour. You sound like Malcolm X. They bring a knife, we bring a gun. But so let me do this though. Just bear with me for a moment or two. because I want you all to check this out. On Meet the Press yesterday, it was said that the opposite of what you're saying, that we're not nice, that both sides are embracing the Trump style of politics. And that's an insult. I disagree with that. But just listen to this conversation on Meet the Press yesterday. Brendan, can you bring me up, please? You all take a listen to this right here.
Put up something Amy Walter wrote, my friend over at the Cook Political Report. This battle isn't unique to the Trump era. It's simply the latest in a never-ending war by both sides to justify their partisan behavior. Meanwhile, voters aren't making the distinctions on policy or procedure or hypocrisy either. Instead, they rally behind their team. There's no time for nuance. There's only time for war. So war it will be for the foreseeable future. And I want to add something here, Casey. It seems as if the Republicans in the Senate and essentially the body politic left and right has actually embraced the Trump style of politics.
I think that's absolutely true. And I think you saw that when you saw Lisa Murkowski go to the floor after she voted no, and there was nobody hardly in the chamber watching her and nobody to applaud her. She was the one who actually took the stand and said, you know, we need to be viewing this differently. There aren't many Republicans who are doing that anymore. And even those who are giving lip service to civility, Ben Sasse, Jeff Flake, first of all, you know, what will they actually do? Will they run against the president? But second of all, would there be any voters? Is there a constituency behind that? I'm not convinced. I mean, people have embraced this president from top to bottom. And you know, Chuck, I think that, you know, the deeply personal nature of the opposition to this, I truly wonder if the Republican Party realizes how that this is going to play out over the longer term with the way that women have felt about this. Because there were people that I talked to day in and day out who really felt as though this was the highest levels of our institutions doing exactly what they have been fighting against, which is they came forward, they told their stories, and the institution said to them, you don't matter.
I'm going to pause there, but you get the point. This is argument being made that once again of false equivalency, gentlemen.
Right. It's total BS. It's total BS. I mean, we don't fight at all. I mean, these guys.
Oh no, but we're the mob now, Sam. These women are mob. It's a mob.
Yeah, a mob fighting for their rights. I mean, what the fuck? What do you expect? They have people literally pointing to their face and saying, "We're going to force you to have rape babies." I mean, if I was a woman and I had someone say, we're going to force you to have a rape baby, I'm going to be like, fuck you. Of course I'm going to be a mob. I'm going to be pissed. Sorry, Sam. Sorry, Sam. I apologize for cutting you off.
No. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, peace.
Take care now. Veronica's in Delaware. Veronica, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Get ready for impeachment. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. You're on there with Sam Smith at ProRev.com, who is in Maine, where Susan Collins lives. Veronica, what say you? What's your reaction to all of this? We're just kind of letting people vent this morning. 1:15 the hour.
Well, good morning. I really wanted to speak. You guys said a lot, but I wanted to speak to regarding Kavanaugh and what you were stating about the FBI investigation. In a traditional scope, the FBI could probably do its job, but unfortunately it was cut off by its kneecaps due to the restriction that was given by the counsel from the White House. So when it has been instructed to only investigate 4 people, that is all it can do. It cannot go by the tweet or something that the president says speaking in public. It can only go by the paperwork that comes from the White House, and because the White House limited it, they only had that choice. And speaking to several agents, the agents constantly said, we wish we could do more. We would follow this lead. We would go in this direction. But we're not being allowed to do so. We can only go where the White House allows it to because it was a supplemental background check. It wasn't a true investigation, as if when the Catholic Church had asked for the FBI to come in and investigate the misdoings of the priests and popes and cardinals and bishops. That's a lot different. They have a larger range to go because they're asked to investigate on a criminal aspect. But when it's a supplemental background check, the White House are the ones that drive that background check, so they can limit what it is. And it was a total misinformation given to the public. So people now think, well, the FBI did their job to a certain degree in a limited way. So you can get what you want. You can change the rules and make it be what it is. And it's kind of like, unfortunately, when you take your child and they go to the Little League game, and then one team starts changing the rules constantly, and the kids go, hey, that's not fair, and they're screaming and shouting, and they're upset. Then you sit back and you say, okay, let's agree on what the rules are and all work together. Well, if children can do it, and we're telling them to do this every day, why is it there is a problem with the adults in the room? Why is it so hard for people to understand there's a purpose in your vote? You control so much with it. It may seem so simplistic, but it has such great power. And it gives you what you want structurally from your local to your state to your county to your federal and to your president, and now, as people are seeing, to your Supreme Court. And regarding to Kavanaugh, Kavanaugh can be, possibly impeached. He has a greater case than any other judge that was considered previously from the 1800s to even Clarence Thomas at this current time. The problem that the gentleman was saying was that you have to find, the previous caller was saying, we just have to have the people that are willing to go forward, like the DA in New York, who's willing to go forward regarding the tax case against Trump. She's got no problem going forward on it. We get the right people in. Government will do its job. The way it was structured was made for safety checks so that we couldn't have this upheaval that's happening where you have what we see happening. But we as the people have to get out. You have to do the 5-call app. You have to talk to your neighbor. You have to say, okay, I'm pissed. Let's get out and do something.
Let's get out and do it.
And protesting is one, but you must make sure that did you go to the beauty parlor and ask, did you register to vote? Can I help you with a ride? Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft. Who would ever think Uber and Lyft? But Uber and Lyft are helping. You need a ride, they're going to be there for you. Yes, it is very annoying. I cannot stand hearing Susan Collins sit up there talking on the TV constantly about her pro-life stance. It is obvious she's a sellout. As she was making that statement, she got a $3 million donation in one freaking lump sum. Who did that possibly come from? We all know.
Whoa. I didn't know about this. What now? She got a $3 million donation.
She got a $3 million donation. She went from $1.3 million in her coffer to a $3 million donation for her reelection stance. She didn't have any much money coming in, but as she made that statement on the floor, saying, leading up to, I'm going to vote for Kavanaugh, and all these inconceivable thoughts that she was putting together that made absolutely no sense. People went back and looked at what she was getting in regarding to her donation coffer, and it's like, okay, where did this money all of a sudden come from? It's obviously, these have been deals that have been struck. To a certain degree, yes, the Democrats were played by a fool. Chris Coons is a very nice guy, but you've got to think in chess, not in checkers. That's the best thing I can say.
So let me do this. I want you and Sam to react to something that she said over the weekend, and just as a woman, especially you as a woman, Veronica, and Sam as a Mainer. Am I still up, Brittany? Okay, take a listen to this.
She was 100% certain that it was Brett Kavanaugh who sexually assaulted her. So given the decision you made, do you not believe her?
Let me say this. First of all, I found Dr. Ford's testimony to be heart-wrenching, painful, compelling, and I believe that she believes what she testified to. I don't think she was coming forth with a political motive, although I do not think that she was treated well by those who breached her confidence. But we also had a case where Judge Kavanaugh came forward and said, I'm 100% certain that this did not happen. So here you have two people who are each 100% certain of what they're saying under pain of perjury. So then I had to look at the other evidence, and was there corroborating evidence? And that's why I pushed hard for the FBI to do a supplemental background investigation.
So do you still think it is possible that he did it? You just don't have the proof to back that up?
I do not believe that Brett Kavanaugh was her assailant.
Isn't that crazy?
It's extremely crazy. It is, she forgot to say one thing. She listed all these wonderful ways to describe what she felt about Dr. Ford, but she forgot one thing.
What?
She didn't say she was credible. Why not? Because she's choosing to believe what she wants to believe.
Right, I got you.
It's impossible. It's impossible for me to sit here and say, "Oh my God," it's insulting. How can you say you support someone, but you can't believe the person's face that they can remember blazed into their mind who assaulted them?
Yeah.
I hate to say it's asinine.
Well, let me do this. I got to take a break, and thank you, Veronica. Sam, we come back. I want to get your reaction to what we just heard. Okay, I got to take a quick break though. Sam Smith, who's in Maine, that's his senator, y'all. Susan Collins. 9 minutes for the hour. We'll be right back. This is MIP.
Get ready for impeachment.
McCartney.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Leading off for Sirius XM Progress, here is Mark Thompson with Make It Plain.
All right, Sam Smith. Sam, your reaction, SamProRev.com, Anna Maynor, your reaction to Susan Collins saying she believes Dr. Ford was assaulted, but not by Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, I mean, that's just absurd. The statistical facts are that it's very rare for that to happen in this sort of case. If a woman identifies an assaulter, it's very typically correct. And one thing that we tend to forget about is that we're not talking about a court case here. We're talking about a job interview for one of the highest posts in the union.
Right.
And if you even have this sort of issue, it's a good reason not to appoint
that
person.
Right. But, she wants to treat as if it's
Let me throw in one more thing, because you do tell your listeners I go back to the 1800s. That's not quite right. But my father did work for Franklin Roosevelt, and I followed politics more or less from there. And one of the biggest changes that's taken place is that Democrats have, in many ways, deserted the white working class. It used to be a very key part of the electoral base, and especially with labor unions. Then when Reagan started attacking labor unions successfully, the Democrats got sort of weak about it. And also, I think also as many liberals got better educated and more wealthy, they became less interested in the working class. 60% of Trump's support comes from the white, lower, non-college educated people. And those people back in the days of Lyndon Johnson or Franklin Roosevelt would have been Democrats. They're not now, and nobody talks about that.
Well, I think you do, but I disagree. I don't think the Democrats left them behind. I think they left the Democratic Party. And I think Trump has exploited, and Reagan too, they exploited race to foment that. Racial resentment, racial hatred. Because remember, the nature of a lot of those unions, going back to those days, was not very inclusive to begin with.
No, that's true.
So they exploited racial resentment. I don't think the Democratic Party left them. I think they left the Democratic Party. Those were the Reagan Democrats, unfortunately. Does the Democratic Party need to try to get them back? Sure. Does labor need to address that? Sure. Do they need to continue to fight and organize? But I think the party and organized labor has continued to fight the good fight to appeal to the working class. But it has, for those who choose to remain with Trump and Republicans, those are those who just choose the path of racial division, unfortunately.
Well, then, I mean, the problem I feel when I hear you talk like this is that you're sort of giving up. And my whole feeling is that you condemn the big guys and you convert the little guys. To say that the description you give, where you say, well, what are we going to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it.
Well, those weren't my words. I didn't say there's nothing we can do about it.
No, but that's the impression you give.
Well, but Sam, at the end of the day, those who feel that way probably need to be converted by their own kind and by the goodwill of the rest of us. I mean, it's hard. What am I supposed to do? If people have left the party because of me and what I look like, how am I supposed to convince them to return?
Well, I think one of the problems we've got is that we've got a leader who is just extraordinarily a liar, and people are being deceived. And then the problem is, how do you get them so they don't fall for this?
Yeah, I mean that's a.
Trump isn't doing anything for the working class.
I know. Well, I think Joe Biden has made that point. I think you can make that point, but I think it's more to those who are stubborn and who do it along racial lines. I think it's, frankly, the white guys like you and Joe Biden that have to go to them and convince them that the same thing Dr. King said in 1965 is still true. That this is working class, blacks and whites are no different, but it's just the whites are fed the psychological bird of Jim Crow.
But you mentioned Martin Luther King. One thing that scares me right now.
What's that?
Is what if Martin Luther King came along now? How would it be handled by the media? And that's very scary to think about.
Oh yeah, well they would try to destroy him, obviously. Sam Smith, the Progressive Review, ProRev.com, since 1964, the news, while there's still time to do something about it. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, sure.
As always, give Kathy my love, all right?
I sure will.
All right, talk to you next week. Folks, check out ProRev.com. Okay, we are in a break, and we got a lot of calls. We obviously won't get to all of them. Let me do this, though, while we're still streaming. and people can see us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we're on Instagram, Minister with 2 T's. Let me do this. Let me get quick comments from everyone. I can give everybody about 45 seconds. How about that? I'm not going to interrupt. Just hit it and quit it as you vent on this Kavanaugh piece. Why don't we do this during the break? Let's do Brady's in Jersey. Brady, go right ahead. 45 seconds. Quickly, go.
Yeah, good morning, Mark. I think we have to be strategic about what we're about to do next. And that first thing is the leadership in the Democratic Party has to change. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, we love them all, but it's time for them to move aside and step aside. They've been playing nice, and there's no time to play nice. You got to fight fire with fire. Democrats don't know how to fight fire with fire. So that's the first thing.
Well. I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. But let me get somebody else. Destiny's in Maryland. Destiny, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke and vote. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Go right ahead, quickly, please. Destiny.
Hello.
You're on the air. Quickly, please.
Oh, it's Stephanie.
Stephanie. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. The lady
Stephanie.
that called that said that Susan Collins got $3 million. She didn't get $3 million. $3 million was donated to whoever was
Her
gonna
opponent
run against her.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, but you heard me ask her. I don't know what she was talking about. So that's why. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. It was the opponent that got the money. That's right.
Yes.
That's a good point.
And also just one quick. I'm trying to figure out if she's saying that the person who attacked Susan Collins wasn't Brett Kavanaugh, then what happened with Mark Judge? He was there. She said he was there as well. So I'm trying to figure out. Did they even? It's like, well, if it wasn't Brett Kavanaugh, are you saying she was wrong about Mark Judge too?
Yeah, so I guess so. Right.
It's sad.
Thank you, Stephanie. Enjoy your day.
Okay.
Mignon, real quick, 45 seconds. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Hi, thank you. I am one of those African-American indigenous people, as well as European, from all the rape that went on during slavery. But anyway, SOB, I am so tired of people just throwing out that son of a, because ultimately it's saying it's mama's fault. If you really think about what that means, every son who goes out and messes up is because of his mother. Could we please think about that and what we're really saying and stop using that phrase to castigate people? Find another way to put men down without getting mama in the whole thing. And the other thing, too many young people who are 30 and younger are not registered to vote, don't want to vote, don't think it's going to change anything. We have got to work on all these kids.
Right, get them registered.
Because otherwise,
I agree.
we've lost a generation.
I agree. Thank you, Mignon. Good to hear from you. George in Florida, 45 seconds.
Good morning, Mark.
It's 45 seconds. Let's go.
I know. Well, go Yankees, and let's look at one thing. There's no statute of limitations in Maryland, Mark. They could charge him and take him to court, and do it right there and solve the whole thing. But nobody wants to do that. So
yeah, that's a good point. All right, folks. We appreciate all of the calls and the vending. We'll try to get more if we can. Join us on Sirius XM Progress. Those of you watching Sirius XM Progress 127, join us there, please, ma'am. Please, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day too, for those of you watching on the stream. We're going to talk to Diversity Inc. too in just a few moments, so you definitely want to hear that. Okay, thanks.